cuffs are off, man. Get right. Too many left in these leagues, but I ain't gonna leave. I'ma get right. Get right. Down to the bottom and scratch it for all the.
Hey everybody, Adam Rank here.
What's up, everybody? It's Marcus Grant.
This is AJ Dillon of the Green Bay Packers.
I got to give a shout out to y'all at Get Right Fantasy.
If you are not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Do you want to lose your league?
Our league. Check out the Get Right Fantasy Network.
You got to get right with the Get Right Fantasy Network.
And best of luck with your podcast. Appreciate the support.
And you're tuned in to watch my boys at Get Right Fantasy Network. Get you right. Enjoy the show.
But I tune in every Friday. Strategies provided, I will lock in every way. So go and roll your sleeves up. Yeah, go and roll your sleeves up. And I'm getting down cause I roll my sleeves up. And I'm getting right cause I roll my sleeves.
What up? What up? What up, world? We are back. I'm Anthony, aka Rasta. This is Get Right Fantasy Network, and it's Friday, another Friday Night Mocks, and I'm here with my boy Classic Mike. How's it going, Classic Mike? How you doing, bro?
Good, man. Another Friday night. Excited to be here.
Let's do it, man. And we got some guests coming on with us here today, so it should be good. We got two guests joining us here. They have new shows and content that are dropping here right on Get Right Fantasy Network. They decided to come out, hang out with us here tonight, give us their insights during this Friday Night Mocks episode. First, we'll bring in Mr. Kendall Vanderbilt here from the Fantasy Football Tavern. How you doing, bro? How's it going? Welcome back.
What up, Rasta? What up, Classic? Man, it's Friday. We made it. I'm living life. I'm going on vacation. Family fishing trip starting tomorrow. So this is basically day zero of vacation for me.
Let's go.
What a way to kick it off. Hey, men. Yes. And you better believe am I the only person, or is that intro music like actually fantastic? Like that will be part of the fishing playlist. No doubt. Glad to be here though, man. How y'all doing?
Doing good, brother. Good to have you. And the other gentleman we have joining us here tonight, also a new addition here to the Get Right Fantasy Network. He was on with us last Friday. Our boy Phil Ruskin with the extra point. How's it going, bro? Welcome.
What's up, boys? Classic, Rasta, Kendall. Dude, stoked to be hanging out with you guys on another Friday night. Welcome into the mock. Excited for what we're going to get into, what we're going to talk about. Let's have some fun, man. Let's enjoy it.
Yes, sir.
Let's do it, man. Glad to have you guys here, man. It's time to roll those sleeves up here tonight, man, and let's get this mock started. Classic, bring up the draft board, man. We got 12 people in this mock here tonight, a 12 team. We're just going to do the first 14 rounds of a Dynasty Superflex startup. It'll be full PPR, and we have it set. We went back to 2 wide receiver, 3 flex for this one, so we'll see, maybe how those running backs and wide receivers get adjusted here. But we'll get it kicked off here soon. Did you already got the randomized going?
Yes, sir.
Let's do it. I don't even know what pick I got, so I'm going to be completely surprised right now.
You guys are at the very end at 108, 109, and 110, and I get to 105.
Right in between these guys? This is terrible. Sir. We got a Rasta sandwich going on over here. Unbelievable. This should be great.
All right, so for those that are new to the channel, make sure you guys check us out on Friday nights, of course. Friday nights throughout the year, we have different mocks going on. In May, we do Dynasty Startup. June, we're switching to the Scott Fish Bowl 14 mocks. Those should be coming out, very soon. We're just waiting for the scoring. Come on,
scoring
Scott.
Drop.
Get that scoring out.
We're waiting.
We're waiting patiently. July, we switched to redraft. We do a lot of rotating formats between 1 QB and Superflex. We do a little bit of 1 and 2 wide receivers, a nice variety for everybody. So, practice ahead for your real drafts just so that you can be ready. Monday, we got mock grades with the team by team breakdowns and feedback on the roster construction and overall draft strategy concepts discussions as well. Of course, we're also going to mix in some live draft for underdog best balls. So make sure you guys are checking out for notifications and subscribe, and you'll get those notifications. So turn them on. Rasta, tell them a little bit more about Underdog Fantasy, yeah?
Underdog Fantasy, man. Where you guys at if you don't know what's going on with Underdog Fantasy, man? It's the best and easiest place to play fantasy sports. Their best ball draft tournaments is kind of how they started. It's their, basically the main thing that they do, but they've expanded a lot now. What a best ball draft is, for those who don't know, it just means you draft your team. No season-long commitment. You draft. There's no waivers, no trades, no weekly lineup setting. I got in one of their big tournaments last year, the Chihuahua, for a $4 entry. I placed 42nd out of 40,446 people. So turned my $4 into almost $400 there. So it was a nice little payday for me. So that was a lot of fun. And then they also have their pick'em contest. So make sure you guys go check them out. Visit underdogfantasy.com and use that promo code GetRight when you sign up, because you'll be able to not only get a 50% deposit match up to $250, but you'll also get to claim a special pick'em pick where you just basically pick higher or lower for certain player stats. So yeah, just deposit $10 and you'll get 5, or you could deposit 500 and get 250. So again, what are you waiting for? Go download that app and use that promo code GetRight.
Nice. You're on the clock there, Ross.
I know. I got it timed out here pretty well, guys. But yeah,
I was trying to give you some time with my pick, and then I was like,
I appreciate that.
I don't know how much I'm be able to give him here.
No, that's when you that. No, that's when you don't give him time. And
right. Quick pick.
You just hit that and let him make a pick. Make him have to really think about it. Put him on the hot seat.
I'm gonna get a little crazy here. I'm finally in the back end. I've been drafting at the front of these mocks recently, so let me change things up a little bit. Let me grab a little Jamar Chase here.
Ron's sniping me with the Stroud and made me pivot, unfortunately.
Ooh. And I know Santos over here, Mr. Kendall. How you feel about our boy Kuda here getting A-Rich there in the 6th spot?
We're not friends. We are.
If it makes you feel better, he wasn't getting to you. You know my love for A-Rich. You know my love.
I expect it from you though. I don't necessarily expect it from Kuda. I thought we were friends. I got a new nemesis. So, Kuda, just to let you know, I'm already thinking about how I can snipe you later on. I want you to know. It's coming.
See, it's personal at this point.
All right, let's get spicy.
Nice.
Ooh, little Caleb. There we go. Little hometown pick.
Yeah, I like it.
Oh, what's up in the chat? We got our boy over here, the Hustler. What's up, Hus? How's it going, man? Good to see you, bro.
Up, man?
Appreciate you coming in to check it out. I'm surprised he's not on his own stream right now. That guy's streaming 24/7 over there at the 420 Fantasy Network over there, man. So make sure you guys go check him out. We got John up in here saying what's up. So how's it going, man? And of course, we got the Roll here. Been joining us here a lot lately, so appreciate you having here, my guy. And he brings us to that decision. He says Kyler over A-Rich any day. By the sounds of what we had going on here in this one, with Kyler not even being off the board. I mean, obviously, it sounded like obviously Phil and Kendall, they're taking A-Rich over Kyler, but Classic, where do you stand on that one?
See, I like what I've seen to the point where I haven't seen anything from Anthony Richardson. I can only go by the few games he played. He only played the 4 games. Kyler, I've seen he's done it before. He was QB 10 at the beginning or prior to going down with the ACL. When he came back, he was QB 10 for the rest of the time he came back, and he was QB 2 at one point. Yeah, I understand he had 2 Hall of Fame wide receivers and, all this. He did just get Marvin Harrison Jr. He does have Trey McBride. The team is doing what they can to support him. I feel like Kyler can do well. I feel like Kyler can do. No, I like the pick. I kind of wish he fell. But at the end of the day, I like Kyler just a smidge more, just because I've seen it. All the talk for Anthony Richardson was his accuracy problems. He could only really throw the deep ball. I don't know. I'm just not sold on Anthony Richardson just yet.
All right. So go ahead. Who's on? All right. So Kendall, you already made your pick. So you tell me your take.
I'm on the clock.
So we figured out who John Thursby is. He's in a league with Ruskin and trying to get a little bit of info on it.
He's on a scouting exercise here. What's your sleeper? Are you in the mock, or he's just watching, checking it out? Oh, okay, very cool. So Huss says he just got done streaming at Best Ball Draft. Okay, there you go, man. Absolutely, man. So appreciate you coming out over here with us. Got to get him on, man. We got to get together here on a stream here soon. But yeah, so the roll said Caleb should easily go ahead of A-Rich, to be honest. So Caleb ahead of A-Rich? I don't know about that one. I mean, Caleb could. I want to see him play. I want to see him make at least a throw. I want to see him complete a pass in the NFL.
At least one pass. Let's get him get at least 4 games and compare those.
Yeah,
I think
you got
Kyler. Sorry to interrupt. If you're going to go by Mike's thought process there, right? He's only seen a limited sample size of Anthony Richardson, so he's higher with Kyler.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to stay on the side of Anthony Richardson over Caleb at that point. Now, look, if he comes out and lights it up between weeks 1 and 4, sure, then it's a great conversation. But Rasta, to your point, like I know what a kid did in college, but I want to see him throw a pass against the pros.
Yeah, at least one. Like I just want to see one. Like, can we get a preseason game at least?
More than 5 snaps.
Right? Man. So I'll throw it to you, Kendall. Give us your A-Rich take. I like your take on A-Rich. We've kind of had a little bit of a discussion on it before. But for those of us catching us here for the first time, make sure you hit that subscribe button for us. We're so close to 1.1 thousand subscribers, man. Help us get there tonight if we can. But Kendall,
option. Look at that.
Ooh, there we go. There we go.
We
were talking about that off stream.
Oh man, we could spend all night talking about MFL. Should be called FML, dude. I'm struggling over that. Boy. I'm struggling.
I totally agree with that 100%. I can't stand MFL. I understand it's super customizable and all that stuff, and you can do so much stuff that other leagues can. I know Mike does like it. His big Dynasty leagues on that one, but I'm just a sleeper guy through and through. I mean, I grew up on Yahoo coming in, so I felt that was the best out of him. But yeah, I'm just all sleeper now.
We got another guy from that same league. They're here to.
Dang!
I told you, man.
They're on a scouting mission.
Getting some of the boys in here tonight.
There we go. Hey, make sure y'all hit that subscribe button for us here, man. Help us hit that 1.1 thousand, man. We want to do it. Make sure you guys go in the description and subscribe to these guys' channels too, man. You got the extra point, obviously, with Phil. Go subscribe to him if you want even more insights throughout the year. And then, of course, go subscribe to our boy Kendall here, who I'm trying to get his Anthony Rich take. But we can't, but over at the Fantasy Football Tavern. But go ahead before your pick comes up. I want to hear this A-Rich take, man. I think everybody should hear it.
Okay. You want an A-Rich take? I'll give you an A-Rich take.
There we go.
I'll put money on it right now. A-Rich will finish top 3 in MVP voting this year.
MVP voting,
barring injury, right? Barring injury.
Yeah. I mean, of course, barring injury. Right? That's the only thing that could stop him, right? But I mean. Yeah, but barring, it's the NFL, right?
It's a quarterback award.
I don't buy injury prone. Christian McCaffrey going in round 2 of Dynasty startups and injury prone. We're still talking about it. I thought he was made of glass, right? Things happen. I'm telling you, A-Rich in what is going to be a top 5 offense in the NFL. And yes, it will be rush heavy. But you know what they're going to be heavy on? Yards and touchdowns. I don't really care if it comes from a rush or a pass. They're going to put up a ridiculous amount of yards. That team used to be known for being kind of a defensive powerhouse, and they weren't, right? Their defense isn't great, but the division has gotten a little bit better. I think that offense is absolutely going to go nuts. It's just going to be insane. JT is going to be a move the chains guy who don't forget, JT can catch passes, right? JT is going to function a lot like Breece Hall. He's going to get a lot of first downs, and he is going to get so many. I think that team's going to have just a ridiculous amount of red zone trips where he can easily have 10 to 15 rushing touchdowns on top of 30 plus passing touchdowns. He might do it in a Jordan Love sort of way where it's very efficient. Those games where you have 3 passing touchdowns, but 190 yards type of situation. But I think he'll be ridiculously efficient because of the weapons around him. I mean, if his wide receiver 3 is Josh Downs, who, high-end NFL retired wide receivers were calling him the best in that draft. He's very underrated.
He popped off at the end of last year. Don't
many
forget.
pieces. He was popping off in week 2 and 3. He just got injured. I think with the weapons around him, he has every chance to be fantastic. If he's not talented, okay, I'm wrong. But if he is talented in that offense, he's going to do so much more than what people think. I have a few dollars on him finishing as MVP at massive odds, but I think it's not outside the range of outcomes.
Here's some thoughts just to kind of add a little bit of flavor and some statistics in. Mike, you talked earlier about Anthony Richardson having a limited sample size, and I'm with you, man. It has not been a full season, hasn't been a half season. So
it's real questionable defenses.
Correct. Jacksonville, Houston. I missed most of the Baltimore game, the Rams, and Tennessee. So, but here's the point total in this is 4-point scoring format. 21 against Jacksonville, 17 against Houston when he only played a 32% snap share, 30 against the Rams, and then 4 against the Titans when he was obviously out in that first quarter season and an injury. So again, small sample size, but you're talking about QB1 level, top of the market, week winning upside. And I think that's what fantasy players are shooting for.
Oh, of course.
And that's, I mean, ultimately to me, like, I love what Arizona's doing. I love Trey Benson's upside, Trey McBride's upside, and obviously Marv. I think Michael Wilson's really underrated. Great late round best ball flyer. Right. So I like the offense. I don't think it's going to be that big of a point gap at the end of the season with Richardson and Murray, but I do think Richardson with his rushing upside, I know Kyler has the rushing as well, but I think Richardson finishes higher than Murray at the end of the season. Okay. I think Richardson's a mid QB1 with a high top 5 ceiling. Mm-hmm. I think Kyler's probably a top 7 ceiling.
Okay. And that's fair. I mean, honestly, to me, Anthony Richardson feels like Justin Fields. Like it in his range of outcomes where he could be having 1,000 yards rushing and 2,000 throwing.
1,500.
Yeah, or 1,500 throwing. Like I can definitely see that range of outcome but at the same time, I said the same thing about Lamar. He's slightly better, but at the end of the day, I was the same about Lamar too. I mean, I've been saying it for the last 4 years. Lamar, until he could throw over 400 or 4,000 yards, to me, I don't really want him because there's no point. He's not going to equal out. Now, yeah, I understand his rookie season he went off, but after that, he didn't really do anything, and it was all because of the passing yards. Now he increased that. His passing yards increased. His rushing went down. He went to that happy median where he was 4,000 plus, and he was at I think 800 rushing yards last year. So that made him the even.
821.
So if you have a guy like, if Anthony Richardson can find that happy median, then yeah, I'm all aboard. But unfortunately, I see it more on the the rushing side, which I understand for fantasy is fantastic. But at the end of the day, he's not going to survive the time frame that you want. I understand there's no correlation with rushing quarterbacks and pocket passers. There's actually more with pocket passers being a little bit more vulnerable to injury because of the type of injury and the amount that they're being out. But at the end of the day, I want my guy to be able to, produce consistently for years. I don't, and we're talking about Dynasty here. If it's redraft, that's a whole different animal. And I probably wouldn't touch him with a 10. Oh, I might touch him with a 10-foot pole. But at the end of the day, it's one of those things where I don't want to have to worry about that. I like steady. I like guys that can have that solid mid-tier to go to that top tier like Kyler, where Kyler can be that top 7. And I'm okay with that because every time he's going to be in that top 7 and he's not going to have boom and bust weeks. He'll be consistent. Richardson could have those games where he's at 5 points, 10 points, and then all of a sudden he's at 40. I just too many ranges of outcomes. I don't know how I feel about it. I can't support it. I even traded him off for CJ Stroud, who is my typical guy that I like, the guy that can throw the ball and is consistent. So that's just
some takes there, fellas. I'm gonna throw a curveball at you guys and say I'm not taking either one.
I'm not going to take either if they're available either. But if you put a gun to my head, I mean, geez.
Yeah, so that's my take on it, man. I think Kyler, after his first 2 years, he hasn't played one in about 3 years, or played a full season in 3 years. Same thing with, A-Rich didn't even make it through, his first year. So it's just, those types of, quarterbacks are always, tough for me. In Dynasty, I definitely prefer more of a pocket passer that just has a little bit of wiggle, that can maybe just, get out of there, create some plays, be able to still throw downfield. I'm not trying to, say you're going to have the same quarterback for, 10 or 15 years. But you want to know at least, I know Kendall, you really talk about that, or is it Phil? I know one of you guys talk about that 3-year window when you're looking through Dynasty there, Phil. So for me, if I had to, bet in the next 3 years, who's going to play the most games, I'd rather take, more of a a conventional pocket passer. Just again, that's just my personal opinion. It's kind of how I build, my teams. So I'll just kind of take that a little bit of contrarian take, just to not beat both sides of that one for you guys. So I'll give that side of the argument.
Yeah, I mean,
so there you go.
It's game theory, right? Like, it's what do you feel comfortable with from a risk standpoint? I think for me, what I'm looking at a lot of the times is I'm shooting for those ceiling performances. That's what I want. I want guys that can win you a week. And my comfort level, the way that I build rosters, is I'd rather have the ceiling performances that can win me a week at the right time or get me hot in the playoffs. And I understand the safety of a higher floor, right? So, like, does CJ Stroud have a higher floor than Anthony Richardson? Of course. Absolutely. But is he ever going to give you those ceiling performances without, and here's the caveat, without throwing for 5 touchdowns and 350? Because that's what it takes for a pocket passer to get that type of ceiling.
Understood. Understood.
So it's just a question of how you like to build.
Which he did a couple times last year.
No, 100%. I mean, look, Patrick Mahomes.
He had like 2 50-point games.
Yeah. I mean, Patrick Mahomes he runs, of course, and he's very athletic. We know that, but
he's the ideal, right? He's the 4,000, 500, right?
Exactly.
Like that's what you're shooting for.
It can be the exception to the rule. He can go anywhere between 500 to 800 and be in a comfortable, because he's going to throw for 5,000, but he's already prepared for that. So it makes it where he can do that. Other guys like Josh Allen is dependable on his legs. Where the same thing with Jalen Hurts, but at the end of the day, it's Jalen Hurts' rushing touchdowns that make him even viable. You take half of those away, which I understand, statistically you can, and all the other stuff. But if you do take those away, he's not that great, you know. So
it's a cheat code in fantasy for sure. And there's the argument of, is the scoring broken? And we don't want to get into all that, but I do think at the end of the day, it is kind of about how you like to build and what your comfort level is. And so as we're kind of talking about quarterbacks, there's a name here at the top of the second round, Jordan Love.
Yeah.
Had a great season, pocket passer. We were just talking about it backstage, has a ton of weapons we all want exposure to in Green Bay there. Where do you guys come in of Jordan Love? He was QB, if my memory's right, QB5 last season. Where do you guys feel Jordan Love's going to finish this year?
Probably around the same. I think he did very well. He's actually, looking at his numbers, he's what I'm looking for. Consistent all year long. 18, 17, 18, 18, 17, 18, 18, 17, 17, 16. Like, he stayed consistent throughout the season and finished at the end of the year as QB5. And he didn't do anything outstandingly crazy. He rushed for, barely, he didn't really rush for a ton. I think it was like 200-300 yards, which is fine.
250, like right in the middle, 247.
Exactly. So, I mean, there's the, I had to scroll for that one. But he threw for 4,000 yards and he had over 30 some odd touchdowns. So he did pretty well. Yeah, he has to clean up his interceptions a little bit, but beyond that, he did really well. So yeah, I'm on board. I was really not on board last year.
Also, you got to also understand too, and sorry I cut you off there, but remember how many injuries there were to quarterbacks last year. So also where they kind of finished as the final QB isn't quite right. I mean, again, you had Joe Burrow missing a lot of time. Again, A. Rich went down when he would have been definitely, probably top 12, top, 7 maybe with it, if he would have continued what the pace he was on, for. So for me, I think if he has like a similar type season, and again, everyone else, there's not crazy. I mean, it was historic. I think there was over 30 something starting quarterbacks last year. It was like one of the highest, for any year in the history. So, I think Jordan Love is, more like ceiling, again, without all those injuries, is going to put you more probably like between 8 and 12 versus, that kind of, getting closer to top 5.
Fair enough.
Is where I'd have him. But again, still someone that you're worth getting, and obviously young, and has the good thing is he has a young receiver core that's growing around him. 2 young tight ends and 4 wide receivers that have all flashed. So we'll see how it continues to come together.
And they picked up Lloyd. They have a ton of youth on that team. I really do like what the Packers have.
And their defense isn't great. So like that also is a nice thing for quarterbacks, because that means they're not just going to nurse a
their defense is older. It's
13 to 10 win.
It's not that they're good. They're not. personally, I think their defense is actually pretty decent. They're just old. They're a little bit long in the tooth. They need to get a little younger on defense. They're already young on offense. So I think they just have to kind of even it out a little bit.
66 quarterbacks last year.
Wow, 66.
Wow, I was off by half.
I thought it was
Samsonite
starters. Or I know, right?
started at least one. Yeah, Samson
really starting. Oh, I thought maybe just like
about,
played, but damn, started.
You think about all the guys we were talking about earlier, right? Like Joe Burrow, Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray, Anthony Richardson, Kirk Cousins. I mean, you're talking about guys historically that
Deshaun Watson went down. Yeah,
Deshaun Watson. You know, Justin Herbert,
Daniel Jones. Everybody.
Well, I was going to say guys that have been QB1s, but let's not put Daniel Jones in there. Let's not put him.
My bad. I threw that name out there a little quick.
Remember, he finishes QB8.
And Saquon took them to the playoffs, and Saquon didn't get the contract, and Daniel Jones did. So there you go.
Don't even get me started with that bullshit.
Messed up.
Hey, man, there's so many factors with that. And at the end of the day, I said it from day one. They should have just gave Daniel Jones his 5-year, and they should have extended Daniel Jones to his 5-year, and then gave Saquon the contract, because then they could have gotten rid of Daniel Jones this year, and they wouldn't have to freaking worry about it. Yep. But no, they decided to go the other route, pay the quarterback, and not. I mean, come on, I'm sick and tired of it. Wow, Nick Roll.
3 quarterbacks.
Hey, wow. Kendall, I have to ask you something. Had I not picked McCarthy, would you have gone McCarthy over May, or are you May over McCarthy?
May over McCarthy.
Okay.
Interesting.
I don't think he would have made around that
here's
turn,
my thing.
Young and Cousins.
Every time I do that, people give me the like interesting. All right, let me throw. I mean, I guess I'm spicy take guy, and I don't even care when I come on the clock. It's already good. I know.
I love it.
Here's my thing. Okay. In the pre-draft process, before anybody picked anybody,
preach.
Drake May was like unanimously above. You guys thought I was going to say JJ McCarthy. No, I'm talking about Jaden Daniels.
Yes,
he was QB2. So just throwing a guy a couple wide receivers, and you're like, no, he drops 2 spots because he goes to the Patriots. I don't buy it. Okay, here's my thing. All these rookies have some risk. Okay, we haven't seen him throw a pass. Oh, that is a wonderful.
Wow.
That's wonderful, but it's okay. Bully tight end. Let's go.
Nice.
Oh, you got to be kidding me! I thought if I got past that, I thought if I got past that, I was like, all I have to do is get past.
You guys,
I was taking Kincaid right there. Look at my whole team. I'm trying to do something a little different.
I like it.
Unbelievable.
This guy would rather draft 0 tight ends. I
Seriously,
found a way to snipe Rasta at a position he never wants to take. This is
unbelievable. I don't even know what to do right now.
It's so against your brand.
Oh, for me, I'm loving it. I mean, the team that me and the one team that I have that me and Rasta are in a dynasty league. My team name is the Bully Tight Ends. So believe you me, I am all for that move, and that is a great pick.
I really stuck taking Worthy here or Pickens? No, I gotta go Devo, man. I can't believe that.
Hustler there. That's for all my underdog best ball bros. Bully tight end in 2024. It's a nice thing.
I gotta find one. I gotta do it in at least one of mine, because I always tend to. I follow my own little thing, but I gotta try that once. That sounds like fun.
Interesting.
It's gonna be fun. Let me finish my quick take on Drake May though, because this is I'm actually like
I'm curious.
I'm steamed up on this one, man.
Do you think he gets a starting job? Like, do you think do you think he starts more than 8 games?
Do you guys remember when Jordan Love got drafted to the Green Bay Packers?
Yeah, he waited 3 years.
Okay, he waited 3 years, right? What was his situation though? Is Jordan Love like some massive talent? He was good. He was good. He was good, not great, right? But look at his current situation, okay? Hyper efficient, pretty good coaching. I don't think we're going to have the same coaching in New England, but he has a bunch of young wide receivers, generationally similar, okay? A lot of loyalty, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look at New England right now. They just drafted 2 rookie wide receivers, both great. I love Jalen Polk. I love Javon Baker. Okay. I think New England... Drake May is stinking of the team that he's going to, but New England is a thing of the past. Like, they have been god awful, right? And maybe they're not going to be great this season. But yeah, Belichick is gone. I see a team that could be a little more offensively focused because they need to sell some tickets. They need to do something. I don't think they're going to be some crazy defensive team. Their division has gotten a lot better. The amount of passes that they're going to have to throw in the fourth quarter to keep up with some of the gun shows in their division. The Jets and the Dolphins are going to put up some massive points. I just see Drake May as he's got infinite runway. Like I think he's got Bryce Young runway, but much better weapons around him. And also, what's the con on May?
I don't know about that.
I mean, maybe I'm just really high on Polk and Baker in terms of.
I was gonna say I can't see it though. Like I see Young. I think this year is where he turns to be a little bit better. They did a lot to invest in weapons for Bryce Young this year, and they got rid of the coach. They got rid of Frank Wright. They brought in somebody else, a new offense, new everything, which understood whatever you need to do that. But
I like Bryce Young this year.
But they brought in guys that actually are going to go there to help him. You have Deontay Johnson, who is a very good and he's a very good vet for possession and making it. He's basically Adam Thielen, just younger. And then they have Adam Thielen. Then they drafted at the end of the first round, Leggett, who is honestly, I think he can do very well in this league. With Mingo on top of that, they're very young, they're talented. And then they draft Jonathan Brooks right after that. So they're getting all these weapons to make it where that Bryce doesn't have to really do much. He can spread the ball out and make it where all the weight isn't all on him.
Do you see what I said about the Panthers in our sleeper channel?
No.
My hot take is Deontay Johnson is in redraft is a top 24 wide receiver.
Oh, for sure. Oh, I 100% agree.
He's going outside wide receiver 40.
Yeah, you're talking to.
I think that's less faith in Bryce Young from last year.
Yeah,
that's crazy. I can't fight you on the Bryce take. What I will like May for me though. When you look at some like the recent QB class, okay, look at CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud had young, interesting weapons. Nico Collins and Tank Dell. Now, Nico Collins and Tank Dell are looked at a lot better right now, right, than Javon Baker and the rest of New England's cast, right? But I'm saying there's enough parallels where people weren't high on Stroud, okay, and he did things well. People weren't high on Love, but they all have similar. They have young coaches, they have young receiving cores, and they had absolutely no faith or hope they would do well. So they had all the freedom to be as good or bad as they cared to, right? I like the fact that I get May as a value. I'm not going to say like, oh man, he's going to be great, but I'm going to say the price that I get him for with his runway, even if he's just mediocre, is I think worth it. And I think the JJ, like, oh, he's throwing to Justin Jefferson. Clearly he'll be fantastic. I think we've seen in the past, just because you have a stud wide receiver one does not mean that you are going to be a top 12 quarterback. What did
Nick Mullins do for those couple games with Justin Jefferson? I mean, if you take away those 8 picks that he threw in 2 games, I mean, he would have had a really good,
That's fair. Well, I mean, when you have no defense and you have to put up 40 points to win a game, I mean, that doesn't hurt either, right?
So I'll say this because we're doing a mock draft tonight. It's Dynasty mock drafts and Dynasty leagues are getting formed all the time. I mean, I'm on the clock in a couple of leagues I'm in right now.
You're not taking another tight end from me. Sorry, go ahead.
I knew you'd take one, but I didn't think. Yeah. So I've taken both May and McCarthy. I've taken them in multiple leagues. I've taken them in rookie drafts. And so look, I think what you're saying with JJ McCarthy is that if he fails, it's because he's not a good player because the team around him is ready-made, right? Hawkinson, you've got Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison had a lot of flashes his rookie season. We like the coaching with Kevin O'Connell. At the end of the day, I think it's more on the shoulders of McCarthy to come in and perform well, given what's around him. With Drake May, it kind of mirrors the conversation we had about Richardson and Kyler earlier with Drake May has to be good. The guys around him have to develop. Yes, I agree with you. New England is basically a blank slate. We don't know what we're going to get there. Kind of similarly, Carolina, kind of a blank slate. I think at the end of the day, what I fear for Drake May is that if his supporting cast doesn't develop, he's stuck.
Yeah, I'll completely agree.
And I think that's his floor is like, look, he could bust. He could be it. It could be. I don't know if I want to use the word Trey Lance, but like it could go that way. The ceiling, I think the ceiling and upside is higher. He's got better rushing ability. He's a bigger bodied quarterback. We've seen him make more throws. You're going to go into a system where, Gerard Mayo is a defensive coach. Are they going to be more possession and move the chains? Are they going to be big explosive plays? We don't know yet. So you're talking about, efficiency. You're talking about a guy that did those things in college. McCarthy did them too. I'll be honest. I have McCarthy just ahead of May right now in my rankings, but it's close. And I see the argument for both sides. So it's a fun. What will be interesting is to see, number one, do they both start week one? Mm-hmm. And if they do get in, obviously a little bit later on, like who has the better start? We expect that to be McCarthy because of the supporting cast. So we'll see what happens there.
Right.
I should preface the way that I play Dynasty. Like, I think this is a philosophy thing too. I don't watch college football all that much, right? Let me just be very honest about that. So when it comes to player profiles and that sort of thing, I'm the least educated person in this room by like several country miles, right? But the way I play Dynasty is I'm a market watch. I call it like, air quotes, like stock trader. I'm looking at where are there dips in the market that I think people are overreacting due to sentiment versus actual logic, right? And where are people high on someone because the buzz doesn't match the historical comps or analytics, right? I don't look into, I stop myself from having a take, right? I'm a Bears fan. You don't want my take, okay? It's doom and gloom. You know what I am? After a lifetime of being a Bears fan, I am what they call an underbetter. And you guys, now I'm just pessimistic as it gets, right? So I'm just looking for, I don't want my take. I just want to find pockets of value. And when everyone gets it wrong or slightly wrong, I get to profit consistently over time. That's my biggest take on Drake May, is the smart people that said Drake May was a better prospect than JJ McCarthy said he was clearly a better prospect, and said JJ McCarthy might not be a first-round talent. Then a lot of steam and a lot of buzz and things happen, and now JJ goes ahead of him in fantasy football, not NFL football. So for me, I'm just looking at a fantasy football, thinking they're maybe a little bit smarter than the NFL in terms of evaluations to some degree, and I'm just buying the value dip, where I don't always do that. This is one example of where I would buy the dip, not because I think it's a home run, but because I think it's a nice way to accrue what could be considerable value in a dynasty startup, right? In this particular draft, I've seen like Drake May, the last couple of Fridays, Rasta, Mike, I think he went in the 4th round in most of those drafts. I'm getting him at the 5-10, right? So when it comes to like your startup, like look at round by round value. I'm looking at the board saying I was able to get, a top 3 dynasty tight end, what I think is a top 10 dynasty wide receiver, top 2 running back, and then I get Drake May to me. That you have to make some takes when the board falls that way, and it fell in a particular way where I was very happy getting JJ or Drake May. I took McBride in the 4th, thinking that either McCarthy or May would make it back to me. If neither of them did, I would be pretty pissed. But I like them both in terms of, I can't be super anti-McCarthy. But I think in that range of drafts, their upside is they're not going to fall outside of it. They have to bust so hard to fall outside of that value range,
So sorry, really quickly, just to kind of pin this, I passed on McCarthy. Yes, I could have had the stack with Justin Jefferson. I didn't think Nick Rock would double tap quarterback there at the end. So I'm okay. Like, do I want McCarthy? Sure. But I'd rather have a receiver here. Cousins will be there. I feel Cousins is the end of that tier for me. I have Cousins ahead of Bryce Young personally, but end of that tier. And I was like, I'll be good. And then obviously bang, bang there at the at the turn.
Yeah. I was upset.
Good job, Nick Rock.
I was hoping that Cousins got back to me at that point, because I thought he might fall a little bit. And I'm like, okay. That's why.
So I want to ask this question real quick, not to, if we're done with the quarterback thoughts, because I look at the board here and I see Brock Bowers going off the board here at tight end 4. Mm-hmm. And Kendall, you're just talking about people overreacting, to the landing spot, and I think people are sour on the landing spot of the Raiders for Bowers. So I think what dynasty players really want to know is, where do you see that? Is that something you're worried about long term, or do you see it as the talent will eventually outweigh, the draft capital will outweigh the rest of it?
I'm gonna jump in that real quick and just say Iron Man did go on an auto pick on that Brock Powers pick, so I don't know how accurate that would have been.
Okay.
But obviously he was up there in ADP.
I'm not gonna lie.
It's not like it's out of the question.
I was gonna go for him at the
6'8".
6'8". So
okay. So all right, then you go ahead and answer that, Classic. Then go ahead.
No, I mean I thought he was gonna fall down. I thought if anything I can go, I passed up on him because if Bowers didn't make it back to me, I still had a chance for Pitts. Because I was
at the 75.
Yeah, so I was trying to go value and youth at that point, but at the end of the day, I mean, I'm happy where I got. But at the Bowers, I think can. I hate first round tight ends more than anything because of how they are basically just pushed up. You know, Kyle Pitts was the prime example of this his first 3 years, and he was that guy. He has to be the Dynasty tight end one. Like he's so young and what. Okay, yeah, he's a talented unicorn, as they all say. So is Bowers. So is, Eric Ebron. Like we could go on a whole freaking. I hate the term unicorn more than anything in the world because people use it all the time and it annoys the living crap out of me and it's not true. So is he is Bowers a very talented tight end that has broken all these different things in college and so on and so forth? Yes, he is a very talented tight end. I have nothing against him. Should he be drafted as the tight end 4 in Dynasty? I think he could. I think I'd rather have guys like Pitts, Andrews ahead of him just because I've seen what they can do. Bowers he's on a different offense. He's on a young team. They didn't draft a quarterback. They have Aiden O'Connell. They're going with Gardner Minshew. There's too many different outcomes. I hope they run 12 personnel all the time and just have him and Michael Mayer all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they should be doing. If they're not, they're dumb.
Well, especially if they want to run the ball, it's a great package for them to have.
But that's the whole point. You're just going to run the ball. And at that point, Zamir White to me is more valuable on that offense than anything because you have Jacoby Myers as well. I like all those guys. Roston knows how much I love Jacoby Myers. It's one of those things where I'm perfectly okay with it, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of mouths to feed there, and you know that Adams is going to be going. It goes to me first.
Yeah, for sure.
Like 35% target.
Last year, when did Meyer even get on the field? It was like week 14 where they finally got him out there and he started doing something because he wasn't even involved until then. Yeah, I know Josh McDaniels was there for the first half of the year. Then they switched it up. I get it, 100%. At the end of the day, they only put him in near the end of the year, and then they started using him because, Antonio Pierce decided to actually get it used. Yeah, so could they involve the tight end a little more? Probably. But I don't see the outcomes that I do for guys like Pitts or Andrews. Rather have those two.
I think tight ends take time, right? They obviously have to age. You're not going to come in and set the lead. Like Sam Laporta coming in, finishing his tight end 1. Like, okay, broke the mold, broke the standard. But I think I agree. I think the value of Bowers is going to be year 2 and beyond because the reality of Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew being the starting quarterbacks next year, to me, I don't see it. I think the Raiders are probably a team that. Sorry, Raiders fans, if you're listening, probably picking towards the top of the draft.
Don't be sorry to Raiders fans.
I know, but they love their team.
Oh my God, you two! So you guys are both Raider haters. Wonderful.
Well, he's a Niners fan.
You guys are the same.
It's pretty much natural.
I think the Raiders trade up if they don't have a high pick next year.
Are you kidding me, Kendall?
Don't even get me started. Just keep moving along.
That warms my heart to hear that.
I love JMO. I love JMO.
You didn't love JMO.
No.
I could bring up text messages.
No, let's be clear. I didn't love JMO because of where his whole situation.
Why didn't you just take Jalen Polk?
I've been taking
because I'm going to get him in the 11th, bro.
I know. That's why I'm so pissed.
I'm going to give him the 12th.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. Damn it.
Hey,
Look,
man.
I mean, it's
really
so
go.
perfect. I get the Williams stack. I got double J Will.
Unbelievable.
It's so
I have to
aesthetically
panic pick
pleasing.
Tajay Spears. It's not
Hey, man.
bad as my.
It doesn't feel as gross as
RB3, but-
drafting Javante. I mean, let's
Right.
be fair. Me and you are
that
both
doesn't
drinking
feel
heavily.
good. That doesn't feel good.
Oh God.
All right, okay,
All right,
Rasta.
sorry
Rasta,
to interrupt.
You know
Yeah,
me.
go ahead,
I'm a market watch guy, right? Let me throw
Yeah.
it to you. Tajay over Blake Corum with all the news of the Kyron thing. Explain yourself.
I prefer Tajay. We've seen what he can do. Even if he keeps the same role he had last year, he's playable. I think he has an opportunity to actually even outplay Pollard in his second year. We saw what happened when Pollard had a full shot at a backfield on a top offense that wanted to give him all the work they could, but he just couldn't do anything with it, and they just put it in Dak's hands. I like where Tajay's at. So yeah, I'll take.
Follow up.
I'll take.
Was Warren in consideration? He's spicy right now with them not
That was
picking
going
up
to
Najee's
be my
option.
question.
I was asking for Phil. Phil owns
Spears or Warren?
Warren's been on and off the trade block for Phil, so I always like to see. You took a running back there. I think the idea was you liked taking a running back there. I think there were several in contention for you. So
Yeah, there was definitely a couple.
Warren had to be in consideration for you. What was your tiebreaker?
I kind of, for whatever reason, the fact that they don't really, I mean, obviously they signed Ridley, but it's still not a great receiving core. And I just think he can have such a third down role in this offense to where I don't know. I kind of like him just a smidge more. Last year I was all over Warren. I thought he was going to take over that backfield. They should have done it. Obviously, if Najee leaves at it for any reason, then obviously I'd like Warren. But I just think Spears has a greater chance of becoming the, I guess you'd say, RB1 or getting the more valuable and quantity of work than Warren and Najee, because I think they still split, obviously barring any kind of injury or obviously trade or something like that. So
I'll jump in. I'm a Warren guy. I think that I'll be honest, I was between Warren and Njoku on this pick. There's a lot of guys behind me. This is my long wait that don't have tight ends. I'm not historically an early tight end drafter. I'd rather just trade for a guy that's, developing or is a young player later on. But I think Jaylen Warren, to me, what scares me is the same thing that scares everybody else, because it's Arthur Smith and you just have no idea what's going to happen. I think sometimes when you have a situation like that, I default to what my eyes see. My eyes see Jaylen Warren as the more explosive back. My eyes see Warren as a guy who is, I think, probably going to be the 1A in that offense to Najee's 1B. I think they're both going to have value. I think last year they were RB 24 and 22, but they were pretty close in their RB finish at the end of the season. Yeah, there you go. Mm-hmm. So thanks, Fins Up, for listening to my hot take. Not a hot take, but to my take here. But look, I think from a dynasty in a redraft, flip a coin, right? I would probably take Warren over Najee if they're going around the same range. Clearly, they're not. But in a dynasty league, you want contract value. Najee's fifth-year option not getting picked up, to me, says one of two things. Either the Steelers are going to just use every ounce of they can of him and then see what they get.
I'm afraid of with
right? Yeah. Or they sign him to a cheaper deal and just say, "Hey, we love you, but we're not willing to pay you, what the open market could." To me, Jaylen Warren, if I'm correct, is in a contract year as well. So I think I
think you're right.
I think it's a good opportunity for both. I think head to head, I think Warren's going to end up being the better, more productive back for fantasy this year.
Okay. I can agree with that, actually. I like the Steelers build, if you will. LA has to work on their line a little more. So does Tennessee. Both teams are very weak at their O-line.
Oh my God, Wilson, are you kidding me?
I'm pissed because I wanted him to come back. I wanted him to come all the way back. I looked at everything. I'm like, oh, no one's going quarterback this round.
That's what I just
go all the way back around.
This is the most disgusting pick I've ever made. Can we edit this part of the show out? I don't even want to see this guy on my roster.
Oh yeah.
Oh, bring it to me. The shame.
No, he's gonna do.
Bring the shame.
I don't have a choice.
I try to call it. We got 30 seconds. We got 30 seconds.
Daniel Jones, bring him to me.
Let him be.
No,
come all the way back to me.
No, it's not DJ. It's
wow.
Filthy.
Oh, it is gonna be.
Oh my God, let's do it.
I don't.
It
have
is
a choice.
DJ.
It
I'm going
is.
DJ.
It has to be.
There's no one else unless he wants to go Russell Wilson and hope that he's.
They both have the same amount of years left to play in the NFL.
Can I get Arch Manning? Is Arch Manning available? In this
Right?
Like, who's coming
out?
That's just, I think I need to take a
agree.
shower. It was a really good show, guys. I'm gonna go take a shower real quick. I'll see y'all next week.
Wash yourself off after
I'm
that.
the one that has to live with it. I don't care what you guys have to say.
Yeah,
Dude.
this is not actually on our team.
Yeah.
Philly, just for you, bud. And when I get back from vacay, check out the video when I drop it. Daniel Jones is low key. He's gonna make. He's absolutely spoiler. He's making my buy low quarterbacks.
Ooh.
The fact that
For the year?
Look, he's just a market value. I've seen him go for a third, man. Like it's outrageous. He's
like,
a
I just wanna
starting
get a fourth
quarterback.
out of
He
him.
just got Malik Neighbors. Do you think the team wants to trade him or him wants to be good? Like, what's better for the Giants? He's a serviceable quarterback or he sucks. Like what?
Wow.
What did the
What's
Giants
better for the Giants that Drew Lock plays?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Hey, look what Drew Lock did when he came in for Geno last year, man. He lit it up.
One game.
Hey, that's all it takes. When's the last time you said that Daniel Jones lit it up for one game? Yeah, exactly.
Week 3 of 2022, 2021. Yeah.
I was gonna give him
in the air, like lit it up in the air, not on the ground.
Give him the playoff game.
Yeah, that doesn't count for fantasy football.
Still
yeah, you got to do that
being
within the
good.
first 17 weeks, or at least 14, just so you can get a chance.
Enough Giants bashing here.
Yeah,
all right.
The fact that we just did 2 minutes on Derek Carr versus Daniel Jones is enough to make you want to switch topics.
Right?
Let's move on.
We all need to take a shower after that.
I wanted Derek Carr, and I was actually going to go Derek Carr at my pick, and then I'm like, no. Oh, I looked at the board. I'm like, everybody has 2 QBs. Everyone has at least 3 moving forward, except for Phil.
Except for me.
I didn't think and if anything, one person would pick one. Okay, no big deal. And then I thought maybe it would come back around and I could get somebody. Yeah, that did not work out the way I wanted to. Anyway, so back to Jalen Moreland. My big thing, and I think a lot of people agree with this, and I think a lot of people are thinking about this at this point. And it's because we have PTSD from last year with Arthur Smith. Honestly, I don't see that happening here. I see a little bit of a different style coming in. It's one thing when you're the head coach. And if you know anything about Arthur Smith and his particular life, which I didn't learn about this until a little while ago. I was listening to Jeff Mans, and he told me a couple things. And apparently he's like a rich guy's like son or something. Little Caesars.
His dad's the CEO or CFO of FedEx.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
So, entitlement. I get it. You finally get a head roll. You finally get all this power, and you try to do things the way you want to. You're going to run that offense and do things. And I don't like this. I'm going to do that. Now you're going to Pittsburgh, and it's not the same system. It's not the same environment. You are not going to be the head honcho there. Mike Tomlin is a very good coach. I don't care what anyone has to say about him or whatever. He has been consistently 8-8 or better for his whole career. He knows how to run the team. It is his team, his way. I think at this point he's going to be telling Arthur, like, hey, you're going to do what I'm telling you to do. And if I don't like what you're doing, I'm going to tell you, and it's going to change, and it's going to be the way that it needs to be. So for me, I think people take the whole Arthur Smith in Atlanta thing and make it a little too much. They kind of turn it up a little bit, and I get it. And I completely get it. But I am completely okay with guys like Warren or Najee. I'm really high on. I'm a little lower on guys like Roman Wilson and stuff, but it's more for Russell Wilson and
unbelievable.
I knew that's why I was sitting here so quiet. I was like, I know who.
You even saw me go like this, right? I was like, you better not, dude. Unbelievable.
And I try to, and I
out
try
of
to
my
talk.
head, bro.
This is really funny, and I try to talk a little bit longer on these particular turns, just so that you guys can make your picks and everything. And I'm just sitting here.
Do you want to know who was just queued up for me? Chase Brown, Jermaine Burton, back to back.
So we both got you. All right, I don't feel as bad. I had him queued up too. We both had the same. We probably all had the same guys queued up.
Are we still friends?
Same order. Oh, of course. This makes me better.
In the garage.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, this makes me better. I like it. But I mean, I at least I was prepared this time because I knew you were gonna do it. So I'm like, let me just have a plan B because I was like, oh, there's no way someone's reaching all the way down here. And then I was like, it's Kendall. He sees the same thing I see. We were just talking about it right before we came on stream. Yeah.
Funny.
I'm programmed to make the best pick available. You can't ask me to not make the objective best.
You
pick,
just you can't make a mistake once. I mean, come on.
I can tell you.
I need another half bottle of wine to start making mistakes, man. But until then, I'm going on vacation soon. All right,
you started already.
I got one more draft. All right, you called me up, said, "Hey, can we do some hosting tonight?" I said, "You know what? I got one more draft to just absolutely terrorize before I head off." And
terrorize is the right word.
Hey, man, I like it. I love it. I love seeing Rasta a little bit flustered because normally you guys aren't here for this. And normally I'm here listening to it. And it's great that you guys are the ones causing it because it just makes me, it warms my soul. To
classic. I don't want to hear it.
I can tell you that if I didn't have to draft disgusting ass Daniel Jones, that Jermaine Burton would have gone off the board there. So it's like, ugh. It's honestly, all of this is Nick Rock's fault. I mean, my guy's got three quarter. Look at it. Bang, bang, bang.
No,
where's his running? He has one running back. We're going to trade me and Nick. Me and Nick are going to. We got to figure this out.
His team killed me because I wanted Kirk Cousins more than anything to fall to me. And I'm so angry that I didn't pick him earlier just to have him. Like I should have just picked him at James Cook, but I'm so high on James
That's
Cook.
A tough choice. Those are like two of your favorite players.
Two of my favorite people. and then I get sniped ahead of that by Kuda, who goes with Nico Collins prior to me picking Rashid White. And then I get Stroud from Ron Swanson. I've been sniped all over the place.
So I want to ask this question about Buffalo. Because you're talking about James Cook. I took Keon Coleman coming back around there in the 6th.
And I took Shakur.
And you took Shakir. So where is Curtis Samuel? No, I'm just kidding. But my point is that
I'm not drafting him anywhere.
I think that Buffalo is really interesting this year because you look at if my memory is right, it's like a 27% target share that just vacates from Gabe Davis. I think it's 19% plus for Diggs. Anyway, it comes out to a fair share, and I don't know where those targets go. I think Kincaid and Cook are the big winners in the Stephon Diggs trade. But how do you see Shakir? How do you see Curtis Samuel having, and to be fair, Coleman? How do you see that wide receiver room kind of shaking out this season? Do you think there's a one, or do you think it's more of a committee?
Oh, it's definitely going to be a committee in my eyes. I mean, I just had my buddy Dustin on a few minutes ago or a couple shows ago, and we were talking about the Bills. I'm bringing up all my things. So it's 241 vacated targets that are going to be leaving. That is insane. Like, that is way too many that are going to be spread out, which is great. I mean, it's also a good thing if you really think about it. It's a good thing. It gets to you get to reset the offense. You get to have things be a little bit different, and that's great. I honestly think that, and they have guys like Mac Hollins there. They also have Chase Claypool that they signed recently. So they do have a decent amount going around. And
I just say Chase Claypool and decent in the same sentence.
I chose not to hear that part.
Okay. All right. I couldn't. I had to interrupt you for that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I've always liked Chase Claypool, but
I know.
At the end of the day, I know who he is. Anyway, I do think it's going to be a little bit more spread out. I do think that Buffalo goes to more of a run offense, rushing offense, where they use guys like James Cook a little bit more. We saw that a little bit more when they changed the offensive coordinator around and how the team worked. Everything went right through James Cook, which is what it should have done in the first place. But You know, it is what it is. But I honestly think it's going to be that way. I think they're going to try to take a little bit of pressure off of Josh Allen a little bit. They saw him running, and he takes some hits. He's a big dude, but the guy takes hits. They got to take it where he's a little bit more conservative with the ball, and I think the only way you can do that is by running it. And their line is pretty much, mid-tier. So for me, I'm higher on James Cook than I am the wide receiver options, but I really do like Keenan Coleman. I think he can be something special.
Rasta, we're not friends anymore, man. That was
good, man. Finally, I was hoping I was getting you on that one. You've seen how quick I did that.
I sat on Malachi Corley for a while over, and I just thought, no, I'll do something different.
That would have taken me 5 seconds, less than 5 seconds. I would have had to take a sip.
You took my Sam Laporta.
So to me, it's interesting because I would, if this was a real draft, I wouldn't have taken it this way, but I actually did it because it's a mock, and I wanted to bring this up. David Njoku to me is a really polarizing tight end. I think if you look, I love him. I think he's athletic as can be. He's incredibly explosive with the ball in his hands. I think David Njoku, the talent wins. I think the Deshaun Watson question has to be asked, and you have to ask what you believe about.
Yeah, because he did all that with Flacco.
All of that with Flacco. All of it. So that's why I took. I mean, like I said, I wouldn't have taken it this way if it was a real draft, but I would have taken Corley. But it's fun to bring that stuff up because that's the kind of stuff when you're this late in the draft, you've got to plan for. You've got to think about, right? Like I play Dynasty in a 2 to 3 year window. What's that window going to be? Not just for Njoku, but Watson's under contract for 2 more years. That amount of money, unless they want to do the 97
Russell
million
Wilson thing.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't want to eat that dead cap. I mean, they're
80 million in dead cap or something.
I think it's more because his contract is more. There goes Russell Wilson.
Right.
Oh, I was hoping he got all the way back to me.
I'd rather take Minshew. I'd rather actually take a shot here at Spencer Rattler. Yeah, we're still super early.
Yeah, I know. My team is not going to have a quarterback in Superflex.
Yeah, this is where it just starts to get fun, man. This is where championships are made.
Yeah,
right here. Sure. This is how you bring home the bacon right here. What's in these rounds?
Do you guys remember what year he was there in Houston? When was he in Houston? 16, 17?
Pre-COVID, yeah. He had 3 or 4 years there before COVID, and then he missed a year for
I remember that.
His off-field issues.
Yeah.
Off-field issues.
Yes. Yeah. I'm trying to find.
You went young tight end. I was gonna go Schultz here.
Because I'm trying to find. I wanted to see his stats with what he did in Houston with tight end, and I think the only guy that he really did anything with, if memory serves me, he did well with Brevin Jordan when he was in Houston. I'm trying to think who else he played with though.
Let's get the hype going, my guy.
Tight ends from the Texans.
Let's go.
That is shit.
Oh, I love Bateman. I love Bateman this year.
Let's go.
If I could just trade for a bunch of like 12, 13, 14 to 15 round picks and just make my whole draft just a big bundle of these guys, I'd be so happy. There's nothing makes me more upset than like for the sake of the YouTube video, we have to keep this to like
cut it out 14. Yeah.
Oh my god! Like
because we're already at an hour right now.
It's so much more painful to be able to only pick one player in the 14th than to pick the entire round how it's supposed to go for everyone and correct all their picks. It'd be so much more fun to tell everyone how.
Gotta fix this ADP down here.
I disagree with everything. I Ruskin's pick was good. I would have put that more like 14-11 though. There's better values ahead, but man, he's nice there. This range is just so sexy.
Yeah.
If Jalen McMillan doesn't get picked, I'm upset with everyone in this room.
Who?
By the way, Jalen McMillan, this year's Puka Nacua.
Ooh, call your shot.
You know what?
Shot, yeah.
Why not?
Your flag.
Call your shot, my guy.
Why not?
I like that.
With Baker Mayfield,
right? You're gonna thank me later.
Hey, I like honestly, low key. I was a big Trey Palmer fan last year. Like I thought he had a sneaky little just weird role, like as a deep flex. Like I could see some opportunity there if Mike Evans left. But yeah,
I wonder what
classic.
I'm interested to see how how Polk and McMillan translate, because it's always a question of how overshadowed were they by Rome, right? Like Penix obviously had an amazing season. Dylan Johnson, I know he didn't. If my memory's right, Dylan Johnson was undrafted or 6th or 7th round, like really late. But McMillan and Polk, man, like they were obviously playing the national championship game, like good players. So curious to see how they translate, because obviously the hype of Rome, that's different. But yeah, there's some. I mean, look, Mike Evans is old. Chris Godwin's 28. Rashad White's got the backfield mostly to himself with Bucky Irving. So yeah, slot role maybe for McMillan, but we'll see what a lot of the same guys from last year's team. And again, I don't.
The guy that just went off the board is who I like over there. Cade Otton.
Cade
Otton. Yeah.
Cade Otton.
I like him a lot there as a late round tight end. Oh my God.
And by the way, he had that awesome comment up earlier where he was kind of talking about McCarthy and then said ignore my profile picture. Yeah, when you guys were going off on that, so he just said I put a lot of stock in the fact that Caleb Williams and Drake May as the top prospects for several years. McCarthy and Daniels emerging late is a red flag to me. So we had that discussion, and then he said, "Yeah, ignore my profile picture." So that made me laugh earlier.
He thinks, man.
Yeah, that made me laugh.
Kendra Miller went 14-9 because in the 14th round, we're all just being like, what would make it look good? If we went 20 rounds, Kendra is actually going in the 13th. He wouldn't even make it to the 14th. Yeah. But we all have rosters.
I wish I could make these that long.
look, I was taking Kendra at 14-3, and I was considering him at 13-10. And if this was a longer form draft, there's no way he's making it that way. But we're kind of like, what do we want to talk about type of stuff? So I agree with the take, though. Like, Kendra is a little bit undervalued. He's starting to get steamed up, though.
You know what we need to do is we need to do a second mock, but draft starting at the 14th. We should just eliminate all those guys and just do a bottom half of the draft. That actually might be some good content. Be great. Rounds 14 through 24 at least, maybe 30.
You'll have to limit me to 30-second takes.
That's where all the good stuff's going to come out.
Literally every pick.
That's awesome, man. That's what
now,
we need.
if you're looking at these teams real quick, because we're gonna, I don't go on Monday. I kind of take 10 seconds for myself to kind of take a look at all these teams and kind of get an idea of how everybody look. Just looking at it from a quick couple seconds that you guys will have to look at it. What's a team that you think could win it this year?
Well, while you guys are looking, speaking of win it this year, make sure you guys go check out our boys over at TrophySmack.com, man. That's how this mock was made possible for you guys here today. So if you want a ring like this, get a little close up on that one right there.
Yes,
or if you want a belt or a trophy or even one of those Kirk Cousins chains, customizable trophies that they have over there, man, make sure you go check out that TrophySmack.com. Use that promo code GetRight when you check out. Help support the channel. And go check them out, TrophySmack.com, and you can see all the different stuff that they have there. I recommend it highly. Play for a little more than just that money at the end of the year. Having something like this that you can take home and have forever. It goes to your head. It's awesome. It feels good.
Definitely goes to his head.
And it's heavy. Look what my finger does. Look how heavy this ring is. It just,
It definitely goes to his head.
It goes to the head. So, all right. So now that you guys had some time to check it out, we'll throw it to you first, Phil, since I kind of default to Kindle all the time first. I don't know why. So we'll go with Phil first.
It's probably how they're made on whatever they are on your particular screen. It's probably why they do that.
Just why, right? It's just kind of how it defaults. So we'll start with Phil here first, man. Pick out a team that you kind of like overall and point out something they got right and maybe one thing they could change.
Yeah, first glance, I mean, it's a big board, obviously, but I like what Wilson did here, picking right before me here from the 107. Look, he kind of got caught in that edge of the tier break for the quarterback. So obviously starting the wide receiver run, please don't make me say that again. But look, CeeDee Lamb, last year's wide receiver 1 overall, explosive guy, ceiling performance. You love that. Puka obviously finishing as a wide receiver 1 in his wide receiver 2 spot. And then he double taps quarterback, which I didn't love initially, but I like the way the rest of the board kind of fell to him. So from a season long perspective, Tua and Goff are going to be great. They're going to give you spike weeks. They're going to have times where you're going to be excited because they're in a game that's a shootout. So I don't know if I love them as the top tier quarterbacks, obviously in a dynasty format, but you're talking about winning it in year one. I'm real high on Pacheco. Come check out the extra point. We're going to be talking about him a little bit later next Thursday as we talk about some guys that I really like this season. And then George Pickens, right? The rest of the group, you kind of look through. Keenan Allen should be good for at least one more year. So I like some of the ceiling performances that are there. Mike, to your point earlier, I like some of the safety and the floors of Jared Goff and Tua. They're not going to burn you, but they are going to be in good spots this week. Or week over week. And then lastly, just kind of looking at Pacheco, Najee, Tony Pollard, Keaton Mitchell as his running back core. There's some guys there that I think will be fine. I don't think anyone that's going to jump off the page at you, but other than Pacheco, I think they're going to be just fine. So yeah, first look, I like what Wilson did. I like some of the ceiling performances that his team gives on a weekly basis.
Yeah. I was hoping that Jared Goff fell to me at the 4-8, and
of course you just classic Mike's team is, Goff, Cousins,
Goff,
Laporta.
Stroud, Cousins. That's all I care.
Yeah, Goff, Stroud, Cousins, Laporta, and just fill out the rest in there. So Kendall, you had a little bit of time here to check out the board. Why don't you tell us one team that you feel you like here that did well? Swanson said there's only one bad word, taxes. So there you go.
Oh man, that's tough. I gotta pick one. I'll pick one to break down, but Shaw Dog at the 101, Finns at the 1-3.
Mm-hmm.
And honest, Wilson, we already went to Wilson's team, so I do like Wilson. I think that the value at quarterback in 3 and 4 was really nice. But him, Shaw Dog, and Finns up, I really like. I guess I'll highlight between Shaw. I'm gonna highlight Finns real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I think he had a sneaky good draft. I'm highlighting it because I actually, you know what? I might not. I'm gonna highlight him because I think McCaffrey is an awful pick at the 210. I'm sorry, bro. I think I think that is a terrible pick. But in terms of if you're going to take what I think the way I play as a pick that I would never make, I think he's one of the few players that I see, if you're going to go with a pick like that, he drafted in a way that he very well could win. And maybe he can flip McCaffrey in the offseason for some value. But starting with McCaffrey, Devin Achane, and then Jalen Warren is your RB3 with some upside, with Wright backing up the injury proneness of Devin Achane. That's pretty fantastic. The fact that you could have a RB 1 and 2 week to week there, like the upside, when he wins, he's going to absolutely destroy you and it's going to hurt. Hurts is QB1, but then Stafford, Rodgers. I mean, you could easily have 2 top 5 quarterbacks. Rodgers could be amazing. We don't know, but if he's not, Stafford still has you can't draft Puka Nacua as high as he is without thinking that offense is going to be
right.
Right, you just can't. That offense,
and he has the stack with Cup. That was just
their defense is god awful. They're going to throw it 1 billion times. He's going to be fine. And then Neighbors, Pittman. You've got some youth there, but when you look at a starting stack of Neighbors, Pittman, Cup, Evans, and Worthy is your dart throw wide receiver 5, that's going to hurt. If Cup doesn't bust, I mean, in this lineup, if Cup is his old self for like one more year with the Stafford stack, that's going to absolutely destroy people. Like, look at the upside case for Evans stays healthy, Cup's healthy, and then offense is good. It will be ridiculous to beat him. It's just he's going to put up too many.
And to still get Evan Ingram in the 12th is still
just super
like
value.
The target leader from last year. Like,
Hopkins in the 14th. Okay, Hopkins could be his wide receiver 2 in the 14th.
Right.
Fight me on it. Like, Eve Hopkins could easily be an 18-point a game.
How many bottles of wine you got going on there, Kendall? He's like, fight me for that one.
I'll fight you for that one. I'll fight you for that one.
Like,
I will take that.
Very nice, Finns. Very nice. Very nice. And consolation prize there to Shaw Dog and Wilson, our ambassador extraordinaire, just killing it over there, I guess, in these drafts. He's all too well known to know what we like over here. So well done, guys.
Fantastic.
Absolutely. Classic. You want to take just a quick second, or were you done, Kendall? I apologize. Anything else you wanted to say on those?
I was just going to say overall, honestly, really well played. I think if I look at all the teams, I think everyone drafted really, really well. This was a very competitive draft. There were some picks that I disagree with, but when I look at across the teams, I'm like, this is a sharp league. This would make for a very, very good league. And it's just fun to be in startups where like, yeah, there's some spicy takes here and there. We talk a lot, but when you look at how the teams come out, you're like, oh, everyone has a pretty solid team. That doesn't always happen. So I think kudos to everyone.
Yeah. And that's what we noticed actually when Frank and I were grading last week. Like we just had a ton of people that were like between B+ and like C+. Like no one really killed it, but no one like bombed either. So it was just like, you could tell it was just a very competitive mock last Friday. And just by looking at it here, we might be, kind of rolling into the something similar this Monday night. So I will just have to let you guys check that out. So Classic, is there one team you guys want to highlight there? And then I want to give these guys an opportunity to go through their teams real quick as well too. So go ahead.
I love Ron Swanson. I'm sorry.
I know. I was just reading that comment. That comment was great. I was like, put that on the board, man.
Ron is. I love Ron. So I'm looking through all the teams just to kind of get an idea of what I like and like a team that I think that will be this year. I mean, a lot of the teams that I see in this particular draft all over the place are very light at one position, and that's running back. A lot of the teams I keep looking at, I'm like, oh, this team looks great. And then I look at your running backs and I just puke, and I get to the point where I'm like, oh, you kind of need, you need to have a decent core of running backs to make your team somewhat viable, young and productive. Okay, cool. So for me, a team that kind of stood out a little bit was Kuda, who kept sniping the crap out of me throughout the draft and was taking a lot of the guys that I liked, but he built his team to be one of those things where it's a young-ish team that can then perform in future years because, a couple of those guys are going to fall off, but he has youth behind it. He has Gibbs, then Henry, then White, then Moss. He has those four guys that you have two guys that are going to be on their way out, two guys that are going to be fine for a few years. And at least you can get draft picks and go from there. Laporta, I mean, who doesn't love Laporta? Enough said. He could get a steal with Justin Fields if he ends up, doing something this year. I don't think he will, but it could be a steal. But otherwise, his wide receivers are at that youngish and productive stage. And you have a couple of, you got like Amari Cooper who for all intents and purposes, Cooper is a top 15 guy. And everyone is sleeping on him. I think he's one of those guys that just no one's thinking about. And then when you see him pop up, anytime I see him pop up, I want to grab him. And he ended up grabbing him where I wanted him. And I was very upset with that one. So little things like that, with Hollywood being good, I think this team that he has is good for this year. I think he's going to be in contention with Wilson. So I really do think that those teams could, really have good weeks against each other. Honestly, I like Kuda's team.
There you go.
At least for this year.
There you go. And extra shout out to Wilson there too, not only with the good team, but also sniping Goff and breaking up that nasty stack you would have had with Gibbs and Laporta. So well done there, Wilson, for the whole sake of the team. You took one for the team there.
Would you do that though? Like I have that in. I have
Kuda,
that in one of my
if you're watching, please tell us you were going to take. I mean, I think that's the only logical pick. You go there.
Okay.
Because after Goff, there's a tier break, and you see there's no quarterback taken for a while.
I'm curious.
Until I took McCarthy.
The only reason why I'm saying, like, I have one of my dynasty teams that is Gibbs, Laporta, and Goff, but I don't use Goff. Goff is my, it's not a super.
I don't have to use Goff.
It's one QB.
Yeah,
it's one QB. I use Josh Allen instead.
Okay.
How good is your
I'm like, who's not
Josh
using
Allen.
Jared Goff in a super flex? Come on,
it's a one QB, and I have four quarterbacks. I mean, it's just how.
See, that's why I can't play one quarterback dynasty, man. I just can't do it.
It's an older.
One quarterback roster.
Come on,
standard league, right?
Yeah. What's this PPR thing? What's that again?
I'm the only one that is
wide receiver premium. What is that?
Exactly. Yeah.
You tell Matt Canada to get out from under you.
I'm gonna start an alternate show here on Get Right, the wide receiver premium show. That'd be a good show name.
I've been the only one that's been the proponent for doing tier PPR. Have you guys ever heard of tiered PPR?
Yeah.
I want to do a league with that. I want to have that instead of full PPR.
It's full.
I'm sick and freaking tired of a guy getting 1 yard and a full point for getting 1 yard. I think that's absolutely ridiculous.
He got targeted on the play and he made the catch. Should get a point for it. No. Anyway, we could argue that another time.
No.
All right, so I want to turn it over. We'll go back to Kendall first here again. I guess that's just how I default. Kendall, in like 1 minute here, run through your team for us real quick if you can, since we don't cover your guys' teams, you Classic and Phil on Mondays. We keep it to everybody else. So I want to give you guys the opportunity to run through your team and let us know what you think, what you maybe would have done different with hindsight. Go ahead.
All right, 1 minute. Let's go. So I do like the value Caleb Williams 110. If he hits, I think that's going to be fantastic. I don't love Bijan at the 2-3, but what I do like is going hero RB. I don't like about 95% of the running backs to draft. Okay. So the reason I like to go hero RB in the second round is because I don't want to draft many of them and I want to take advantage of the great rookies in the 2024 class, right? So when I can take hero RB, even if in my dynasty rankings, I have several players above Bijan there, I like in there because of the value and the way I can mold my draft. So that's why I took him there. Rome at the 310, because I think if I'm not competing this year, if I get anywhere less than third place, Rome is going to become a ridiculous pick when you look 2 years down the road. His talent, the way that NFL pro scouts talk about him, is just unholy. I get to stack him with Caleb, and I do think that Rome, when he ages into his prime, is going to rise up easily into the early half of the second round going into future years. McBride, it's just a pick that I set up. I don't love McBride at 4-3, but when I was looking at the way the draft was going to fall, I knew McCarthy or May would come back to me. That's why I took him there. And I do like the fact that it's a highly condensed offense. It seemed to be it was not a terrible pick. It was okay. I hate the next 5 picks. So that's just kind of why I did that, if I'm being honest, right? Board fell the way it did. Drake May, 5'10", underrated. Love him. Bully tight end at the 6'3". Look at the format. 2 wide receiver, 2 running back, triple flex. If there's a 3 wide receiver league, maybe I pivot. In a triple flex league, this is way more viable, and it is perfectly fine. We talked about like 2 billion targets vacated in Buffalo. You got the winner right here. JSN, again, I'm not competing year 1. I'm competing year 2. This is after Locke is probably gone. I think he's going to be a value. Keep in mind, he's not 24. He's still 22. Okay. He's going to be a nice value. Still like him. He's going to be a nice post-type sleeper. He might not elevate to Garrett Wilson status, but I think he's going to be pretty good. Bo Nix, just a viable starter. Love a viable starter in the 3, nothing crazy. Rounding out my running backs with Javonte, the 9-10. A little bit of a disgustingness, but viable starter. If he is healthier than people think, I love him where I took him. Chase Brown, just awesome. He's the 1A, not the backup, not the handcuff. He's the 1B, will become the 1A, in my opinion. Couple dart throws.
Same.
Trust the coach with JMO. We liked the talent. We didn't like what happened. He has the talent. If he can, there's a lot of upside, at least a safe floor. Roman Wilson, Pittsburgh never misses on wide receiver, and Wilson because I'm already heavily invested into the Arizona offense, and I like the target condensation there. Sanders in the last round, honestly, I could have taken a million people there. For me, I think that the tight ends coming in, all the rookie tight ends are just going to be better than the guys before them, and the guys before them, they're more athletic, they're a little bit better, and it's an upside play. If he's regular, fine, but could he be Sam Laporta? I don't know. Most people missed on Laporta. And he's there. Remember when McBride was a 3rd and 4th round pick?
Yeah. Do you know a guy that's on their team that no one talks about that should be talked about more? And he's a tight end.
What's that? Eric All?
Nope. Tommy Tremble. He should be talked about way more. Way more.
I didn't expect
we're talking about
Carolina
there
tonight.
Huh?
I'm trembling in my boots, man.
I'm telling you.
We already talked enough about him.
Yeah.
That's enough. Just the mention of
more like a
name
minute and a half,
good.
but there you go.
No, it's all good. All right, well done. All right, Phil, turn it over here to you. You got about a minute or so. Run through your team. Let us know what you're thinking here.
So my 108, interesting place to draft from. Obviously a shorter turn after your first pick, coming back there. Once Richardson went off the board, it was pretty easy. I was always going to try to get one of those alpha of alphas in that top tier of wide receivers. I was hoping CD would go, JJ would go ahead of CD. Fine, fair enough. No one's going to complain about Justin Jefferson. We talked a little bit about Richardson and Murray. I stared Murray down for a while at the 205. But look, I'm the one Tyreek Hill's the one person in the NFL that I am okay being stuck holding the bag.
There you go.
I'll ride it out with him. I know what he's going to give me. I love the ceiling performances. It's weak. Yeah, until the wheels fall off. Exactly. Got sniped, was hoping for the stack with Tua, so took Jaden Daniels as my QB1, rushing upside, rookie, Cliff Kingsbury offense. We'll see what that turns out to be. I think Saquon is finally in a good offense. He's got an offensive line. I think his numbers will probably be similar to what he's put up in the past. I think what the upside of Barkley is his touchdown upside. I think that's where he has the most room to grow this year. And then I tried to stay pretty young in my wide receiver room. T. Higgins obviously could go either way. Could be great. Could be kind of just that mid-range wide receiver 2 again. And his trade value will be determined of what he does this season and where he lands next. And then youth with Keon Coleman, A.D. Mitchell, and Javon Baker. Tried to go with kind of a mixture of youth and upside in my running back room with Trey Benson and Marshawn Lloyd. I took Benson because of the long-term play, but Monty to me is really the RB2 in my team this season until Connor, either gets injured or Benson overtakes him, whatever that's going to look like. Late tight end dart throws with Njoku and Sennett. Probably was, to be honest, was looking at Malachi Corley there. But, look, it's a mock. I want to see what this build looks like. We all know Camp Hype's gonna go through the roof. Sean Dogg's got Kate Otten. If he doesn't love Kate Otten, there maybe is a trade there with Ben Sennett, going forward.
Too,
so, yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I'm in a 2 wide receiver league with a triple flex. I want to have wide receivers in those spots. I understand the running back room and depth. I get it, but I play Dynasty in a 2 to 3 year window. I have guys that have 2 to 3 years worth of life, especially with Barkley, Benson, Monty. And I think my wide receivers, other than Tyreek, they will hold their value at least into next season. And obviously they have ceiling cases if they perform well. So I like what I did with the wide receiver room. I hate my quarterback room. I need a second shower after Daniel Jones. But yeah, it's it's just sometimes the way the board falls.
For sure. All right. So classic, you're not on Monday either, man. I'll give you a minute or so. Run us through your team here real quick.
I got sniped at the 105 for, where I'd like to go with Stroud, but it's okay. I went with my Lamar Jackson over Anthony Richardson. I'm okay with that. I thought about Burrow, but I went with Jackson. Then I went with Jonathan Taylor. I had the same thought process as what Kendall said. I like having a a hero RB type build. And then I was like, okay, cool. Then I saw Drake London fall, and I couldn't not take that. His value is so great at the 3.5, and I mean the kid's only he's 22 years old, and he's been in the league 3 years. I mean the kid is going to be real good this year with Kirk Cousins. So I really did like that pick. Then it came back around. I got sniped again for Nico Collins because that's who I wanted, or Jared Goff. Both guys were sniping me. So I went with Rachaad White. He was the best value I saw at that particular point. And then at that point, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to build my RB room and make it stronger than everybody else's. And went with James Cook on the way back. When it came back around, I was like, okay, I need to have a guy that's going to be a little, that my strong wide receiver 2 with some upside. Devontae Adams. Perfect. Okay, cool. Came back around, and I was looking at Jaden Reed. He went off the board. Okay, no problem. I went with my tight end, who I was kind of going with at this point, and it was Kyle Pitts, and I was happy for the value that I got for him. I do like him this year a lot more than I have in the past, and you guys all know how much I hated him in the past. Now it's more the value. Instead of him being where Laporta is, I got him where I got him, and I like that a lot better. Joe Mixon up next. I like the Houston offense. I want somebody in the Houston offense, especially the running back. I'm okay.
It's like, give me someone.
Give me anybody in that offense, and I'm happy. I'll take Xavier Hutchinson at one point. Like I don't care. I just want somebody
on a taxi squad somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, he was on my taxi squad in a couple leagues. And then, I came back, and then I had to go QB, and of course, Fins Up takes Matthew Stafford, who unfortunately is who I should have grabbed at Joe Mixon. But it is what it is. I went with Penix thinking, okay, cool. I have 2 of the Atlanta Falcons. I get their quarterback for the next few years. Why not have that? Okay, cool. Then I go and talk about Leggett. I already went into detail about him. I think he can do great. He's young. He'll do great. Quinston Johnson, I think a lot of people are sleeping on him. I am very happy to get him at this point. He's going to be the wide receiver 1 there with Justin Herbert. I understand it's going to be more of a rushing offense, but you know what? He's the number 1 target there. I'm happy with that. And
watch out for Lad.
I was going to say, you can argue Lad McConkey all you want. It's fine. Then
my guy
around, Brian Robinson is slept on. He could be the RB1 for that team. So I'm pretty happy with that. A young running back, can't go wrong. We were talking about Wicks before the show, actually, and Wicks is one of those guys that I like. He's a big, tall, built receiver that can handle everything, and I think he as much as they keep talking about guys like Jaden Reed and all that, I think he has the ability to be like a 1B guy. And then I just, for fun, I took McMillan. I probably would have went tight end here. I was thinking of Otten or Theo Johnson, one of those guys. So
very nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well done. Of course, you'll get my take on Monday when we're here on with Frank. So we'll be back to doing that. So let's take us back here on the big screen here.
Yes,
so I do want to give the boys here a quick second to tell us a little bit about, again, who they are for folks maybe that missed the intro here, where they can find you guys. So let's go with Phil first, since I keep defaulting Kindle. So there you go, my guys.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Yeah. So on Thursday nights, streaming live, I'm going to have a show called The Extra Point with Phil Ruskin. Look, we all know Justin Jefferson and Patrick Mahomes. We know who the top guys are, but at the end of the day, we really want to start doing a deep dive into who's going to be a league winner for you, right? So we're going to talk game theory for startups. We're going to be talking about auction drafts. There's not a lot of content out there about auction drafts. I focus mostly on Dynasty, long-term player values. If you've got questions, go on, hit subscribe, hit me up on Instagram at _extra_point_FFB. Put some comments there. I'll be happy to take questions and talk through trades, long-term values, strategies, and just the little subtle differences that are the differences between guys who are going to be good for your roster and potentially league winners. So want to find that little edge? Come hang with me on Thursday nights on The Extra Point.
There we go. Good stuff. All right, so we'll turn it over here to our boy Kindle. Go ahead, tell the people where they can find you and what kind of content you'll be dropping for us.
Right on, man. Come check me out over at the Fantasy Football Tavern. For me, fantasy football, the community around it is just the best thing in the world. Yes, my beard is awesome. Thank you.
I think he was talking about you, Rasta, but I'm okay with that.
Hey, his beard's way better than mine, so I had to leave the comment for him. My bad. Go ahead.
They both know. We all collectively know. But over at the Fantasy Football Tavern, look, I'm a spicy take guy, but at the end of the day, I want to have a conversation with peers. I'm a draft expert. The one thing I do is game theory, optimal. I come from a poker background. I come from a strategy game background. So the one thing I do, if you agree or disagree with my rankings, you're going to agree with the way we're going to play the board. We're going to solve the Rubik's Cube, and we're going to find optimal strategies based on your ranking sets. So we're going to do lots and lots of mock drafts from a startup perspective, because 20 rounds is way more fun. When the redraft season comes around, we're going to do a lot of that. We're going to do a lot of, I'm in Indiana. This is the first year I get to stream Underdog best ball drafts live. Let's go. If Travis Kelce didn't get COVID, we would be a lot richer over here, but that's okay. We're not going to complain. It's going to happen now. So we're going to do a lot of Underdog best ball stream. Shout out to them. If you're not on there, what are you doing? Underdog is just fantastic. So get on there. So if you're looking to mock draft, I'm a great place to check out. If you're looking to optimize how you are drafting, I'm a great place to check out. And I'm also going to do a little bit of buy low, sell high. I tend to be a market value type of guy. So whether you like a guy or don't like a guy, let's talk about where the market's at and where we can find pockets of value. The Fantasy Football Tavern. Let's go.
There it is, man. Now you see why I went out and got these guys, man. I had to surround myself by people who know more than I do. That can hold this down, man, and bring some value here to the channel, man. So we're so glad to have you guys joining us here at Get Right Fantasy Network. We're going to keep growing, man. Keep getting you guys the content here, give you guys the information so you guys can dominate not only your drafts, but just dominate the season in general. Of course, we'll be back here during the season. doing our waiver wires, buy, sell trades, start sits throughout the year. So we'll be taking you guys, all the way through the end of the fantasy season, and again, bring home that hardware for you guys at the end of the year. That's what it's all about, man. So the last show, man, is the best. That Monday after championship week, man, we can all come here and show off our hardware, talk about our winnings, and all enjoy it together, man. That's what we're all looking forward to, and it starts right now. If you want to be there at the end, you got to put in the work now. So let's get it done, man. So again, appreciate you guys coming on here with us, spending your Friday night. Can't thank you guys enough, man. Make sure you guys, if you're watching and you're not subscribed already, hit that subscribe button for us. If you're already subscribed, hit that like button. Helps us out just as much. We're trying to hit that 1.1 thousand sub mark, man. Help us get there before we head into the season here. So unless there's anything else you guys have, anything else you guys got?
No,
wrap this thing up.
Happy Memorial Day weekend. Enjoy it.
There, that's Happy a good one.
Memorial
See, there
Day
we go.
weekend.
There we go. Happy
music.
Memorial Day. There it is. So from all of us, man, here at Get Right, for Frank, for Dustin, for Classic Mike, and myself, and the boys over here, Mr. Kendall and Phil, again, thanks for spending your night here with us. Make sure you guys go throw them a subscribe as well on their channels. The links are down in the description. Classic, cue up the outro. We'll see you guys on Monday with the grades. Peace out.
Guys.
Wanted to write fantasy is the play. Marking often, but I tune in every Friday. Strategies provided.